Well, yes, it's Friday night, and welcome to whatever in the world we're calling ourselves, the Pop Culture Corner. I'm going to turn my camera on. I'm your host, Channel Dad, and I am two-fisting the Guinness. This is a quart of Guinness,
not
out of the can.
Cheers
And I
for my
had coconut rum before I started all this, so I might get a little loopy.
Someone's not feeling their feet.
Well, almost. I need a haircut though. But the governor said I can't get a haircut unless I'm wearing a bodysuit. Because, yeah, Mike DeWine, I'm convinced is not running for re-election, but he might end up jail before this is all over. I hope so. That man with the provocative hat in the right-hand corner, Appalachian American.
Well, howdy, folks. I did get my hair cut, and I didn't have to wear a mask to do it. My haircutting lady said that's stupid, and that she don't care.
Yeah, I need to find a haircutting lady that's like that.
She's cool. Her name's Joy, and she's awesome.
I might drive to where you is and get that done.
Come on down.
I don't know what the quickest way to get there, because you're kind of canny-wampus from me. Trying to go southeast out of Cincinnati is a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's about. I Googled it once because I was almost invited to somebody's wedding. Come to find out, it was a lot further away than I was supposed to be.
Oh.
And yeah.
That wasn't Loudy, was it?
No.
Oh.
I guess he probably.
I didn't even know he moved like to Indianapolis or something. I found that out the other day. I was like, "You're not in Cincinnati anymore."
We were all talking. We were going to crash his wedding,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome." And then
I never knew. Yeah, he kept talking about he was going to let me. I never knew when it happened. I never got nothing. Well, that man below me, he's the oldest last of us, prime mover.
Yeah, I did go get a haircut and to color my hair, and look what happened to me. Turned green. So
aren't you using?
I'm gonna have to do.
Aren't you using the
something
picture
different.
that we sent you?
This is me. This is the last of me.
I know, it's so funny. Tommy made that, sent it to
I
me.
love it.
And Tommy Gunn, say howdy.
Howdy.
We have
Welcome
nobody
to the
watching,
Friday
so
night show.
we can start with the fart and penis jokes right off the bat.
Oh, yeehaw.
Let me get on Google because I don't know any by heart.
Seth, put down the tape measure.
Look at my fuzzy hair.
The centimeter side.
Well, the World Health Organization has spoken, ladies and gentlemen, and all of their research indicates that they're back to their original premise. And you know what? I saw a thing on Facebook right before the start of the show. Fauci's even backing away from what he's been spouting off, saying, yeah, it's pretty much just a mind control device, which is what he said from the start. So
Yep.
unless you are sick or you are caring for someone who is sick and you are up close and personal and you are not a medical care professional, or you have not been instructed by your doctor for respiratory reasons, do not wear a mask in public. That is the medical. That is not my medical advice. That is the medical science says. Anyone else, it's all political bullshit.
Well, apparently Walmart doesn't believe that, because I walked in there today and they said, do you have a mask? And I said, no. And then they said, you can't come in here. And I said, great, I'm going to Target and screw you guys. You're a bunch of Nazis. And I walked out.
Tell them they're in violation of the American with Disabilities Act, and that is a felony. And
You think LaQuisha cares about that? She don't. She don't.
Hey, why doesn't a rooster wear underwear?
Because it can.
Because he has his pecker on his head.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, I got a joke.
Oh no.
Does your underwear stop your fart from leaving?
No.
No,
Then why the hell would a mask protect you from corona?
exactly.
Is that the punchline?
That's fine.
It's a newer one, because we're in newer times. You know, it's just like these masks.
I need my clown horn.
Yeah.
These masks are like trying to stop mosquitoes with a chain link fence.
Well, you're not trying to stop anything but our own spit, so that way our spit doesn't travel out and get onto you.
Oh, so it's for other people?
It's to protect other people.
You know what?
When
They're
you-
wearing a mask.
When you spit, when you talk,
Why are they wearing a mask then? So they don't spit?
Well,
This
it's
is
like
all
the
a
whole
bunch of
pee
mind
conversation. It's like the pee conversation. If me and you don't have any pants on, and I pee on your leg, you're gonna get pee on you. But if you're wearing pants, I pee on you, you don't directly get it on your legs.
You're not walking away from that exchange.
If I'm wearing
Pee on my
pants,
leg.
You pee on my pants.
I'm
Now I
gonna
carry it
snap
around with
your
me all
your
day. See,
femur.
that's the problem with that analogy. You pee
yeah.
on my
Yeah.
leg, I just wash it off. You pee on my pants. Now I got to take it around
now,
with
but
me.
I haven't finished yet.
Which
I
is
haven't finished
actually
yet.
correct, because
Now,
if
you're
I
both
cough on your
wearing-
mask, you take it with you all day long.
If you're both wearing pants and I pee my pants, then you're still clean.
If you can arc 6 feet with your pee, I'm putting you in the circus, brother.
Oh, don't tempt me with a good time.
I'll buy that for $1. Oh, there we go. Let's speak in Dionisms the rest of the night.
Is it?
baby,
Oh, I can't even. I can't. Is it pork? You know, again,
Beware the white
again.
women.
At the end of the day, again.
Yes. But I will be doing that's an NPR article, by the way, that I posted on Facebook today, and I'll be doing a video tomorrow on it. And I don't
Hey.
care what my nurse friends think. Their medical training is letting them down or narrowing
Hey,
their
what
vision.
did the elephant say to the naked man?
Want to lick my trunk?
How do you breathe through that thing?
It's a dick joke. See what he did there? Little dick, big trunk.
I did say penis and fart jokes, didn't
Yeah.
I?
You unleashed the beast.
Yeah. So where you been hiding out, man?
We are live, so
Well,
beware of
it's
your
none of your business, but I will tell. Just been taking some time off.
All right. Well, glad to see you back,
trying,
man.
trying to enjoy some summertime before I have to do a lot of medical stuff.
Man,
I'm fine.
Flying around here. So if you see
do we need to come down there and spend some time with you?
No,
Is it like that
you
kind of
might catch
medical
the
stuff?
COVID.
I ain't worried about. I ain't got the Rona. You got the Rona?
Well,
I ain't got the
since-
Rona. I haven't heard about getting the Rona.
I mean, if
Yeah.
if you ain't got if you got the Rona, I'm not gonna judge.
you know they have a thing called
I probably ain't been around to tell the Rona.
they have a
Dude,
thing
I
called
know, I miss
Cologuard,
it.
man. You don't have to do the colonoscopy unless you've got issues.
Right.
And I did the Cologuard.
I had one at 45, and I tell you what, it was like in some dude's house that was converted into his office, and there was a freaking fireplace in there made in like the 50s, and I couldn't get out quick enough.
Yeah,
And they got me though. They got me.
he put the fireplace on, put a little Barry White on.
Hey, dude, why are both of your hands on my shoulders?
Hey, what's that?
I'm
That's-
beginning the
That's not
procedure.
pillows. That's not pillows.
It was really a bad experience.
You remember planes, trains, and automobiles?
Yes.
We get it,
That's
man.
not. I don't know because you didn't laugh, butthole.
He was talking.
Hey,
I
my
was
kid-
laughing.
Looks like,
My kid,
he looks like Anakin Skywalker with his hair there, you know, before he got burnt. Nice
My,
hairdo there, Channel Dad.
My child is.
I've been
starting
shaving
to-
the back of my neck, but I'm still burning up. 36 more days and I'm going to Tejas.
Hey, Hoss, what's that?
¿Por qué?
Yeah. What's
Why?
that?
Why?
Yeah.
Texas.
Why?
Oh, cool.
Because
I don't
I'm
speak
going to go
Spanish.
get coached by Mark Ripito and learn how to do my lifts.
Well,
better.
You should hang out with Tap and Die while you're
I
down
know.
there.
I asked him if he's, how far it is. I'll be in Wichita Falls.
Oh, that's way up there.
Yep. Almost
What'd he
in
say?
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's going to let me know.
Man, what a weenie. He needs
I
to
know.
jump on there.
Well, even if we meet somewhere, because the Sunday after it's a 1-day workshop, and I'm going to take me. It's almost 16 hours to drive there, so I'm doing it in 2 days, and I'm staying 2 days. And so there's the falls, which I mean, it's not spectacular or anything, but I'm going to poke around the town. I've looked to see if there any craft breweries are going to be open or whatever, local anything. So if he shows up, we can do a few beer reviews or whatever, and if not, it's all right. And then Monday I head home. And I'm staying in Missouri. I forget. There's some Fort Leonard Wood, near
Yes.
there. I can't get on base anymore, but I can at least stay there close to it.
Hey, you can go to Lucy Park in Wichita Falls.
So yeah, it's like 8 to 7 or something. I mean, it's a pretty long seminar. I mean, it's 10 to 7.
Lake
Hey.
Kickapoo.
Hey, what did the sign on the closed brothel say? Beat it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So apparently he's found that the fart and penis jokes written by 12-year-olds.
There's quite a few that are pretty rough. I'm not gonna say because this is pretty bad.
Don't worry about getting us demonetized. That's why I don't have
I
this
ain't
on my
worried about
channel
that.
anymore.
I'm just worried about people that I know watching this.
So are we going to have to say that this is a stream for children because of the nature of the jokes?
No. Drop a few F-bombs and then the algorithm won't let us say that.
Fruit. Fart.
If you say things
French
like
toast.
fucking retard, that'll do it right there.
Fantastic.
And my special needs friends don't give a shit that I call them retards.
First of all, a guy with an accent like that would never say the word special needs.
Yeah.
He would say, my retard friends would make
Yeah,
sure.
10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 15th.
Yeah.
That's if my new car is available to me again.
Aren't you going to
Oh, poor
rent a
thing.
car?
No, I got a Subaru, man.
He bought a brand
It's
new
in the
car. You
shop
better drive a
already.
fire out of that thing.
Yeah, I got a
Is the
Subaru
company
Legacy
paying for
Sport.
this? I mean, how many trips have you made on the company's dime?
Since leaving AAA, none.
Well, they need to.
Would you read AAA today?
Hey, that's my long Yeah, boy.
How
that was
many made?
We're going to be required to all have that now.
That's right.
So make a
Tommy
version,
Gunn's
make
my
something that
hero.
looks like that, but all green. There you go.
All right.
No, we got
Alright,
to take
put
an
it back
actual
on the
photo
screen.
of you.
I can
And then
send you
take-
the image.
I got it.
No.
Send me your email address and I'll just send you the whole image.
Don't copy me, man. I'm unique.
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 Well, we got 2 people listening. Hello, all the listeners.
Who out
Welcome.
there listening?
I don't know. It says 2, and I'm not one of them.
I ain't one of them.
So the link I put into the regular chat too is a review I did of C4 Sport. You want to see me 5 years younger and a little bit more hair and a little bit less gray?
More hair?
No.
Yeah, more hair. Let me share.
Well, more hair up front or what? What are you talking about? Because you're thinning out? Let that shit grow, man. Let it grow. Let it grow. Let it grow. I've been on a Rammstein kick. Have you guys listen to Rammstein?
geez.
Oh my
Dude.
god.
Du hast mich.
Mein Tre Brent. 3 chords that they play.
Yo, that one
They're
video
incredible.
where the dude's got the glow stick in his mouth. Look at
Yes.
that Du hast video. That thing is creepy. The dude's walking on a skateboard or walking on a treadmill playing.
Treadmill, yeah, that's Flake Lorenz. That's his name, and he's to me he's the heart of the band because he does all the synthesizers.
Yeah, that cat's wild.
So there
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
There's me.
Oh, okay.
So Tommy, you were asking about C4 Sport. There you go. There's my review of it.
Oh,
Hey Tommy, take that picture and turn him green.
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tommy
that
wants
shirt's a little
swag.
tighter on me now. That's an extra large, double extra large. I don't
So you're
remember.
not Ethan Van Sciver 4X.
I don't even have tie.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is I've been listening to Mark Ripeto's videos and people complain about, him being fat. And it's like, well, I wonder if they're the same people that watch some of my supplement videos and say, well, this guy's skinny. They think I'm like 5'6" and 130 pounds. It's like, you guys have no idea. I was probably heavier there than I am now. Believe it or not.
Okay, so what are you, 6'1" and $180?
No, I'm 6'5" and I'm probably 215 in that video.
Are you you're 6'5"?
Yeah.
What's up, Chewy?
Oh,
6'5", dude. That's
Well,
like
hey-
a different, like in the ionosphere. The air's cleaner up there.
Yeah, it's something. Well, hey, hold on a sec. So
Uh-oh.
no, just
So
hold on.
you look down on everybody through the
Not
barrel
everybody.
of your nose.
I've met some former NBA players, and let me tell you, it's like
Yeah.
I almost come to your shoulder. It's like, yeah,
You're not taller than Eunice Sumitomo, the newest Chewy. How tall is Jeff?
Hold on, I'll
Uh-oh.
show you. I'll let y'all in on a little. Well, it's not secret because it's on my. So if I go here, I just plop that in. Does that change in StreamYard? Should. Yes, it
It's
does.
going. It's
I'm gonna hit pause. Let's see. Let's back it up.
better feed the mice on that computer.
Well, I've got a render running in the background.
Gosh.
So there's
Oh, dude.
that's myself, Jeff, and Kendo Slice.
Wow.
Oh wow.
You look like the
Kendo
principal. You look like the principal showed up to home ec class.
Well, that is, we're about to review one of my beers, and that's Phil's Kitchen, by the way.
Kendo looking mighty chunky.
Wow.
Now, yeah, compared to them, I'm really skinny. So Jeff and I are pretty close to the same height, depending on who's standing up a little bit straighter.
Hmm.
Now,
He looks like he's in full straight up board mode there.
yeah, but so that was 2017, I guess. That was Christmas. That was right before the big shakeup when he redid the whole show early 2018, I guess it was.
I think that's when I started listening.
So
Episode 68.
or he did that in 17, but he and Phil, they were all still speaking. I don't remember because it was Christmas party at Phil's house. So Kendo showed up. He brought some beers from St. Louis. I had my beer. We shot several beer reviews. I did some with the two of them. I did some with just Kendo, some with just Jeff, and some with just Phil.
Wait, you said St. Louis and shot. That shouldn't go together, but it does. Holy crap.
But that is my most watched beer review. So 925 views. So that's
Das
bad.
Bielen.
So let me see if I can skip to where we actually poured it. You guys don't need to watch it. This was a Belgian.
Malmore.
Was a Belgian stout, I guess. So there you go. It was very good. And there it is. There's my chicken neck. Because I can't stand up straight to save my life. I think both Jeff and Kendo have lost weight since then, if I remember correctly. But I can't speak fully to that. So yeah. And I'm the skinny guy when I travel with these guys. And Dion, I don't think Dion was there. I know Nick wasn't.
Whose house was this?
Phil. Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil.
1 foot Phil.
Yep.
Peg Leg McPhil.
Back in the old days of that show. But what was crazy is that was the first time I saw Jeff in town. I met him all in Atlanta when Nick's movie went live, Strip Club Massacre. And let's see, it was Dan, Phil. So it was Loudy wasn't there and Dustin wasn't there. So
what about Perv Joel there?
Well, he wasn't a regular by then. He had already moved. I can't remember if he moved to New York or he moved to, I think he moved to New York, then to Virginia Beach or the other way. I don't remember which way around. But he had already moved out of town by then. And, but then at Jeff's birthday party, his 30th birthday party is when I met the gentleman, Brian Callahan, who's on some early episodes too. And man, let me tell you, he has a face for radio. I mean, he's got a great voice too.
Really?
Yeah, but he makes Jeff look skinny. Let's just put it that way. So,
well, when you got a big tool, you got to build a shed over it. That's all I got to say. It's been my mantra all my life.
Yeah, well,
there's your joke there, Appalachian American.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dick joke.
Man, we've been doing a yard sale for today, and we're gonna do it tomorrow. And I held up a T-shirt, and I was like, "Man, I really don't want to get rid of this shirt." And my mom was like, "You wore that?" Yes, Mom. Thanks.
Because it was a little shirt.
Well, it's just a single X. I'm now a 2X. Double XL.
2X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I got-
pretty
I
sure
got-
that New York shirt is an extra large. That's when I noticed my wife was buying smaller shirts. I'm like, what are you doing?
Because she wanted to see your guns, bruh. She
I don't
wanted,
know.
she wanted you to stretch the crap out of the sleeve seams.
So, but anyway, yeah, good times. And then my
Yeah.
second most watched beer review was one with my daughter and I. So
Was that the soju?
actually, yeah. Well, the Sweetwater,
I like that one. That's a funny one.
yeah, the Sweetwater 420 was the number 2 for a long time, but the Chumchurum Soju has actually passed it.
You get it? 420. You get it?
I know.
Get
Oh yeah,
Hitler's
we didn't do
birthday.
that. Well, that's her birthday too.
Oh,
Her birthday's 420. So
420.
this year we didn't do it, but for 2 years I got some Sweetwater 420 beers, and that's what we reviewed on her birthday. So, yep. And last year we got started late because it was on her birthday was on anyway, it was at a time that actually we could have started at 420, but we didn't quite make it. We started like 10 minutes past or something. But anyway, yep. But
So you destroyed space-time continuum because you went 10 minutes extra. Money!
yeah. And this year my son turns 21. My wife's like, "You gonna take him drinking?" I'm like, "Why? I'll just get some beers and set him down at the dining room table and say, okay."
Yeah, he's got a full garage full of brewery. I mean, come on.
Right.
Why
Well,
would I
and
pay $8 a bottle.
if I start, because his birthday's late August, and if Horror Hound Indianapolis is going to happen, I'm going to have my stuff close, if not completely done by then. I'm like, I'll start him on my own beer.
There you
It's like,
go.
look, it doesn't get any fresher than this. It was bottled 2 weeks ago.
That's right. Have him take it out there and start selling some.
So yeah, I got to get on that. July is it's quickly zipping through.
Is this a Republican governor in Indiana?
Who?
Is there a Republican governor, or is this some blue guy? Because
I'm in Ohio, man.
I know, but you're going to Horror Hound Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
So they might be more willing to allow the event to go through.
Maybe we'll see. Well, I mean, we have a Republican governor here in Ohio.
He's
Supposedly,
a rhino, bro.
Oh, he's beyond rhino. I think he's a full-fledged Democrat.
Yeah.
The stuff he's done with the is the newest thing that he did this past week. Well, now the different counties have different standings and stuff. Did Seth? Okay, you're so still, man. I thought you had froze.
He's like Drax. He just stays still. No one can see him. He's invisible.
But the county I'm in the next county north of me, just what the county line that I butt up against, we're in red zone. So you're supposed to wear a mask and wherever. I noticed this morning some people wearing masks in the gym, and I'm like, I'm coming in when there's no one, when the staff isn't here, just so they don't have to tell me that I have to wear a mask, which is insane to wear in a gym.
Yeah, you're getting 40% of your oxygen.
There was a guy the other day that was wearing one. He's an older guy. So, because here's, and this is what I started with the show, and, the World Health Organization, they looked at 8 ways to Sunday that the pro-mask crowd has no scientific leg to stand on. Okay. I'm going to drop my filters for a moment. They're a bunch of fucking morons. Okay. That it is exactly what I thought from the start. If you are not sick or you're not giving aid, very close up and personal aid to someone, it's done. Today was the aerosol article. They've already dealt with asymptomatic exposure and transfer, and they've also dealt with it being found on surface tops and all that. The RNA gets found on surface tops. Great, but it's not enveloped. It's not going to get into you in any way, shape, or form unless you literally scrape it up and inject it into a needle and stab your arm with it. Okay, because anything else, Right. But any other entry point, your digestive system, anything else, this, well, it's basically a vaccine at that point, right? It's dried up RNA, and it's not going to make you in. And then outside, especially, this is what I told that when we reopened and they didn't have fans and all this other stuff running. I mean, they have the air running. I said, look, I think it's stupid. I said the best way. Now, my dad, and I've talked about this before. My dad's civil engineer, so I've been around HVAC systems. I can't tell you how how to fix one, but I know how they work. If they really wanted to minimize transfer, you crank that thing up to high. You turn every frickin' fan on in the gym, and you don't recirculate. You pull in air and you blow the exhaust out the back. And so anything gets picked up, it doesn't get recirculated, it just gets blown out into the wind. And then outside, it is a inverse cube. That's
Inverse square
force.
law.
Well, it's the inverse cube of distance. So, and that's just in one direction. So if the wind's whipping around, it's even better because then it's blowing it all over the place. So yeah, in my opinion, today's article that I posted on Facebook, and I'm going to do a video tomorrow, NPR.org, for you people who think that I'm getting this off of Fox News, that is the last nail in the pro-mask coffin, as far as I'm concerned. The science is not on your side in any way, shape, or form. And to have people wear masks, granted, if someone walks into a store, I told my daughter, she and I got in a heated argument the other day. Didn't last long because I threw science in her face and she didn't know how to respond. But several years ago, when I worked at AAA downtown, there was this guy in Subway. Now, Subway around lunchtime, they have like 5 people working. It's a crazy place. And this guy was sneezing. Now, granted, he was not sneezing on the bread. He wasn't sneezing in his hands or anything, but he kept excusing himself. He would blow his nose. He would wash his hands up to his elbows. He'd put new gloves on. And I was like, this is a tight space. I don't feel comfortable. And I just got out of line. I went somewhere else. I didn't say anything to anybody. It was on clear display. And I'm like, you guys need to have him like mopping the floors or something. Right. He was doing everything he could to not sneeze on anyone's food, or he didn't, as far as I could tell. That is the level of awareness people need. If someone's in this grocery store and they're sneezing their head off, guess what? I'm not walking up to them. Right. I'm going to walk around them. And so this whole social distancing thing is bull crap. And I do not want to sound like I'm dipping my toe in the conspiracy waters, but it really feels like they're trying to isolate everybody from everybody else for some nefarious purpose.
Well, I'm not paranoid, but I just think everyone's out to get me. That's it.
Well, here's something that really bothers me. If I'm 6 feet apart from somebody, why do I have to wear a mask?
Because you could pee on my leg.
Well, that's the whole
It
thing.
ain't
That was the whole thing about it being aerosol. They early on, back in early April, there was a study where they did an experiment with this virus and they put it in some aerosol thing and it can spray it all over the place. Now, this thing was under pressure and it was much greater than a sneeze has a lot of velocity, but it doesn't have a lot of force behind it. So once it hits the air, it doesn't go.
Mute.
Space mute.
You muted yourself.
You
muted yourself.
No, it muted me when I disconnected my thing, and I now hear you guys out of my speakers instead of my headphones. I hear me out of my headphones. Well, the latest actual science with the virus and people doing it doesn't aerosol well, and it's not contagious in an aerosol. This is what this whole thing is about. And then there's stuff out of Switzerland released this past week or last week actually, but it was translated into English now. That article is very tough to read because it's like literally translated out of German, so the sentences are like miles long. But yeah, we're down to 1/10 of the seasonal flu for death rate. And that's if you take the numbers at face value, which we all know are bullshit.
Right, like show me
1,000 per deaths per the seasonal flu. That's world, and we're at 450,000.
Yeah.
So F the WHO. That's why POTUS 45 kicked them to the curb. They're done.
Yeah, but the World Health Organization is kind of, and I saw a thing. I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I saw a thing posted right before the show on Facebook, was telling them where Fauci's back. He's backpedaling like a crazy madman now on masks, because he originally said, yeah, it's just a mind. Basically, he said it was a mind control device. You really shouldn't be wearing them. Then he said you should be wearing them. Now he's like, it's really not really helping, and it's really just to make people feel safe.
Oh, let me tell you, me and my wife had a discussion at K&W. We went to go out to eat at K&W, and they made you wear a mask. Of course, I didn't. And so there's people behind us wear a mask, but they got right behind me, like an inch behind me, and I turn around and I say, okay, you're going to wear the mask but not follow the 6 feet distance? I could not see the lady's face, like her face expression, but her eyes said it all. She was pissed.
Well, I mean, for real, like, stay off my butt.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to wear the mask.
Just farted.
Yeah, my underwear didn't trap my fart.
Yeah. Well, I tend to, when you're in line with a cart, it's easy to stay, 3 or 4 feet away from someone. But I mean, I don't get right up on someone's crap when I'm just standing in line normally. And I don't like it when people. I don't like it when people are close to me. And yeah, it makes me nervous. And guess what's going to happen? I'm nervous and I'm old, so I am going to be farting it, and I don't give a shit.
Well,
you're going to be smelling it.
I'm going to lower my pants and show like the crack of my ass, and it has a tattoo that says "exit only," so that means back the fuck off. Exit only.
But yeah. Anyway, but we'll see what the idiotic. It's all about control now, and I firmly believe that's why they started other things to distract us. I had this lady I used to work with who's fairly liberal, and I think she's slowly starting to understand certain things. But she sent me a message on LinkedIn today, I guess, and said, I had asked her a while ago how she was doing with all the craziness, and she was asking, and I said, well, I tend to be more like Dorothy, Wizard of Oz, and when I see all these, choreographed distractions, I'm looking to find the man behind the curtain.
All right, did I tell you the tattoo I wanted on my butt since you had exit only? I wanted Samity Sam on my butt cheek saying, "Get out of that hole, rabbit."
Lordy day, child.
Are you going on Appalachian American's joke site?
No,
that was not kid friendly.
It's like getting 2 tattoos in one.
Yeah, you get an M and an O and an M, so you're gonna have mom's tattoo on your butt. One M.
And when you do a cartwheel, if you get mom on your butt, when you do a cartwheel, it says "Wow, mom."
Or mom, wow.
Yeah,
that's because you walked in anyway, and you saw her. What? Wait a minute. Well, yeah, it's a big hysteria that's happening right now. People are just taking this to the nth degree, and it's because they're not awake, and that's what we're combating. People are becoming more awake to the shenanigans and the lies.
Well, that's one of my ideas that I wondered why this all got started. Because in 2018, 2019, you had all this worldwide, right? You had a push for freedom. You had, stuff going on in Hong Kong. Even Wuhan in 17 and 18 had demonstrations because of the incinerators that the government was putting up there. And part of it too is the Wuhan's air quality was horrible. That's part of why.
Don't want to eat that stew no more.
And then it's like, okay, since this all started, we started to get a crackdown last summer in Hong Kong, right? And then wow, all this all the stuff with COVID-19, and it's like worldwide, we're implementing all this stuff, and it's not going to go away, right? They're not going to. It's just like 9/11. The Patriot Act was supposed to be temporary, and yet every few years they renew it. Okay, even though we don't need any of it, we don't need the TSA, we don't need any of that stuff. Yet we got to take our shoes off to get on a fucking plane. And now what's going to be, you before you enter this building, you would need to have your temperature taken. Why?
Yeah. Hey,
What's that going to show you? That I might have an infection. Great. It could be for
It's
any reason.
authoritative, authoritarian control.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Hey, it's really
we don't-
funny. It's really funny because we have to take our temperatures at work every morning, and the AC in my Tahoe is just super ice cold. Well, I come into work, stand in line to get my temperature checked, and my glasses are all fogged up because everything's so cold in my Tahoe. He goes to check my temperature. He has to check 5 different places on me before he can get an. He's like, "Man, it says you're dead." Like,
That's right. Your core temp 73. Damn.
yeah,
No, if you want a day off, Seth, just go run really fast, get your body heat up, and then go get your temperature taken.
yeah, because they won't. They'll pay me. Like if I
Yeah.
have a temperature, they'll pay me.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, day
I
off.
I don't have no idea when we're going to be allowed to go back into the office, which I really, really want to because the dogs are driving me absolute bonkers. But I work out in the morning, and even when I don't take a pre-workout, in particular when I've done, say, heavy squats and deadlifts tend to do the most for me. I come home, I'm too warm, I cool down, I take a shower, and it's like an hour later, especially if I eat, especially a heavy meat breakfast, meat and
You get the meat sweats, Diane.
I don't get the meat sweats, but the thermogenic effect suddenly kicks in. In the next 2 hours, I am boiling. I'm sweating like a pig. Okay, so I can't imagine doing that, going to work. I don't know, 9 o'clock or whatever time I'd be rolling in. Plus, it's hot by then already here. But even if it's cooler, and then I'm going to have to park quite a bit of ways from the door because if everyone's going back to the office, by the time I get there, it's going to be way out. They're going to make me stand there for a half an hour every day. And I tried to especially told my brother this, a few weeks ago at my niece's birthday party, and he's like, "Oh, you can't get it that." I'm like, "No, thermogenic effect that's why I work out in the morning." Because I would be trying to sleep and I'd be boiling when I was doing this at night. When I had to, I get in my mid 40s, it was all over. Working out in the evening is just about impossible. If I could work out at exactly 5 o'clock, I could have several hours to cool down. But it wasn't. It was closer to 7 by the time I'd hit the gym, especially when I was working downtown. Just ain't gonna work, and they're gonna think I'm sick every freaking day.
Think you
We're
got
gonna-
the Ebola rolling up there.
Right. And they're not going to see a pattern. Oh, he always comes in, he's warm. And then he sits here for half an hour and he's fine. And heaven forbid I have a hot flash in the middle of that. That'll really frick him out.
Man, this
Yeah.
guy's sweating more than a priest at a Boy Scout convention.
Yeah. Hey, but anyway,
Question.
here's really, hold on a second. So here's a still. That's a Rheingeist. That's a local beer. So there's Jeff and I together. So that ought to tell you about how tall we are.
Is that what you guys going to square off?
No. Anyway,
Crack a bottle over each other's head?
that was Rheingeist Knowledge, which is an Imperial IPA. It was pretty good.
The Du Hast. The Du Hast.
Go ahead, Tommy.
42.
Sorry, man.
All right,
Go ahead.
oh no, you're good. My question is what did y'all think when y'all first saw everybody wearing masks?
This is stupid.
Sheep.
It was stupid. It was, I mean, I knew instantly it was dumb. And I didn't have to have, Dr. Buttar or any of these other people telling me it was stupid because when I took, granted, I first took first aid in 1979, there was no such thing as personal protection, right?
There were no such thing as cars back then. What are you talking about?
But over the years, we've had to use gloves. We did different things, and the masks like that were for if you had an open wound that you were dealing with, so that you didn't cough in it. And so I was like, the only time I've known people to wear a mask outside of a healthcare facility for people who are very ill or believed that, because now, granted, like if there's pollution and stuff in the air, those are much larger particulates. Okay. And that wearing a mask is going to filter that out. It's not as good as wearing a respirator, but not everybody can do that. And it was like, and then I actually saw a guy in a mask that's similar to what I use as my logo on one of my Twitter accounts. You know, it's got the two sides, you know, filters out everything. Like he was coming from like he just came from the fire station or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that no one, well, I should say no one, but the people I saw. Now, I will say this, when I first started seeing it, most of them were elderly and morbidly obese. We're talking like 120 pounds overweight, you know, like 5'3" and 400 pounds.
Whoa.
You know, people that could barely walk around, or they were in the little scooters in the shop. Because, you know, you'll get people that do nails and stuff will wear it because of the fumes and it helps to block it. But as soon as they're done, they take that thing off. They don't keep it on all day. And the fact, and now we've got all kinds of people they're getting rashes in their skin. They're having respiratory issues. I can't wait till that actually happens. When the people who've been wearing masks for at work for weeks, months now, especially Amazon workers, Amazon's got a huge lawsuit coming. And they'll say, well, the government made us, but you get a good enough slimeball lawyer and that won't cut it. And especially if they do a jury trial, they're screwed. They'll be losing $100 million easily.
Well, when I first started seeing people, they were a lot of Asians, but normally Asians, when they're sick, they wear masks. That's kind of the culture.
Right.
And then it started to migrate and everyone was wearing it. And the
first thing that went to my mind is, oh, this is what brainwash looks like.
Yeah, in this deal, what we're doing right now, there's a lot of sheep, and there have to be shepherds. There have to be people that say, no more, we're not doing this. Your science is wrong, but it has to be done in such a way that they can grasp it on the first take.
Yeah.
Like I said today, this lady, Laquita Sharnika, who was the little security person, she just wouldn't take no for an answer. And I'm like, great, I'm out of here. You're a Nazi. And I walked out. But is that going to register with her? No, she's got her orders and she's going to follow them like a good Gestapo.
Well, yeah, when you've got, the government saying it, in our case, the governor, and then, well, they were asking me before the show too, you know, over here in Butler, I don't know about Hamilton County, but I know in Butler County, you know, they were supposed to be a hot spot, which I went and ran the numbers. It's 0.01.1, you know, it's 1.1 100th of a percent, 0.011% of the population. It doesn't even follow the governor's guidelines, and he's declared it a red county hotspot. I will gladly go party with all 36 people in Butler County who have tested positive but are not in the hospital. Okay. Over 300,000 people, they have 36 cases. Well, that was yesterday or the day before, whenever I ran the numbers. Okay. It's insanity. And, but the sheriff said, yeah, we're not enforcing it. It's up to the health department. Now, this is what happened in Cincinnati last week when they said you had to wear stuff downtown. They said it's going to be, you know, up to the health department to police it. All 6 people. So, because they're just, you know, they're used to going around to restaurants and stuff, just doing inspections, you know. They don't have the staff to do this. So the director of the health, whatever the title is, of Butler County said, yeah, we're not enforcing it, and the governor can go pound sand. She didn't quite say it that way, but she basically said, yeah, this is an illegal order. It's not necessary, and we are not going to enforce it. But it, you know, again, as Prime encountered at Walmart, if the business is going to enforce it and they're going to be belligerent and they're going to call security, and some, you know, Bubba's going to come over here and, you know, convince you not to come in the store, great, vote with your wallet and say, okay, fine, I'm never coming back here ever.
Well, yeah, they're a private business, so they can do that. That's why I didn't take it to the nth degree. But I'm not going to go on the beach and be wearing a frickin' surgeon mask, you know, so I can feel, or somebody can feel good about being on the beach.
Yeah.
Screw it.
The problem I have is that Walmarts have like they have two main entrances and one garden entrance. They've closed the garden. They had the two mains separated from where one way in, you go in one side and out the other, and they had a barricade up. Now they have everybody coming in one door.
Yeah.
So like where does social distancing come to play with this? Because we all have to come across the parking lot into one door. I thought the whole game plan was to stay away from each other,
Right.
not hurt us into one door. And the people in my town, they're not buying this crap. They're doing it
No.
because they have a job. And I try to remember that because like there's part of me that does get mad. I have a very, very short temper. Anybody that knows me knows that I like a light switch.
Like at concert.
Yeah.
Do tell.
But I about beat this little noodle kid. Like, oh my gosh, he opened his mouth at the wrong time. But this lady like
here.
this lady looked at me and was like, we walked in and she wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't make eye contact with you. She was like, here at Walmart, we have to wear masks, so you just have to wear a mask. You're supposed to wear a mask. Yeah. She just mumbled. Like we almost didn't hear her. She was doing her job of speaking to everyone that come in, but she wasn't making eye contact and she was mumbling. So she knows it's crap, but that she still has to do it.
Right.
Right.
Like a good Gestapo.
Right. I mean, like that's what I'm trying. That's the point. Like I'm trying to not be mad at people for the whole mask thing because sometimes you just have to play by the rules to have your business open. I get it. It's a private business and you have to play by the law rules. So, but
Well, it's that license, right? So, if you really want to know, look, I used to be part of the Patriot movement. I know more about the IRS tax code than I care to admit, but one of the several things in there is that businesses are an artificial entity. So are we if you have a social security number, but we won't go down that rabbit hole.
Exactly.
So if as an artificial entity, they exist because the government allows them to exist. This is why the government can screw around with your rights and they get away with it because you are seen as an artificial entity. You are an artificial citizen of the corporation called the United States of America.
Yes.
And that goes back to the 1840s, I think, or shortly after the Pike Memo. This is when that gets created.
Albert Pike.
Right. But it takes it. So they create that corporation, but it takes them until they get the 16th Amendment passed and Woodrow Wilson before they actually get the income tax to be part of that. But because of that, the government can do whatever goofy ass laws they talk about. And people will get all up in arms about the civil rights movement and they'll completely, well, usually out of ignorance. I wouldn't say they ignore. They out of sheer ignorance, they don't understand that Rosa Parks sat down on a city bus, not a bus owned by a corporation. This is before that artificialness had really been enforced. And that's also where the lunchrooms were. These were government owned or government run quasi businesses. And that's why it was illegal. That's where the discrimination was. We swung the pendulum too far the other way. But if you own, I don't care what your business is, and you say, I don't want this kind of person, that kind of person. If I agree with that, I'll come and patronize. If I don't agree with that, I can go somewhere else. And maybe you go out of business because you're an asshole. It's that simple. But
China's asshole.
That's why they have to follow line. And there's some people will be like, oh my God, and other people are going to be like, just like this lady, she's barely going to say it. And maybe she pretends to do her job. And when her manager's not looking, because that depends too. Does her manager believe it? If her manager doesn't, her manager's probably like, just say it. And, If too many people are wandering around without a mask, maybe someone, supervisor comes over. Why are there so many people? You're so-and-so's not doing that. Because a lot of it, people are afraid they're going to lose their job. And when you have unemployment as high as it is, I don't care what the official number is, it's baloney. And here in Ohio, apparently we're like the third worst state for economic pressure because of all the COVID stuff. So people are scared out of their minds, and there's that fly again, to losing their job. Because we've had so many people lose their, my son lost his job because of COVID.
Because he was spreading it.
No, one of their clients shut down indefinitely. And again, it gets back to what are they testing for? Okay, and people are positive. We had even my company, we had people who were in the building, last month who were in one of the support roles. Somebody tested positive, and guess what happened? They all self-secluded, and no one came down with any fucking symptoms. No one.
Oh, question for y'all.
Go ahead. And you keep changing your... Every time I look over, that thing's different.
Dude, that's you. That's you in the mirror. That's you, Channel Dad.
That's not me. I don't have a mustache.
Well, you do now.
Did y'all hear about Wayfair?
Yeah,
dude, I'm just seeing that right now.
Is a econ system, or it's a store that you can purchase stuff, kind of like what's the other one that they have?
Like Amazon.
Yeah, it's like Amazon. It's a virtual store. You can purchase a whole bunch of different things.
Apparently, children, right? Isn't that what they're
saying that you'll see where a kid's missing, and next thing you know, they have a name for a cabinet with that kid's name, and they sell it for like 10 to 15,000. And it's just a metal cabinet, locked when you get it.
That's messed up.
Jizz Lane, because he was coming from the Reddit site, right?
Yeah. I hope they don't have any. If they have any connections with the Clintons, they're going to end up shooting themselves in the head with 2 different bullets.
Twice.
Yep.
Shooting themselves in the head 3 times by 2 different guns
at a park bench in the snow,
upside down, saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
And peeing 6 feet away on someone's lap as they die.
See, this is one of the things people will talk about David Icke and his freaking lizards, but he has been I remember watching a presentation of his when this is several years ago, when he did the stuff in Wembley Stadium, I think it was. He did like this all day thing. So it was like multiple stuff, but he took like 4 months and researched missing children in the states. It was one of these things. He couldn't get a federal number, so he had to call like states. He had to talk sometimes to even counties, and he would have all these numbers of children that were missing. And he said, now here's a percentage of who they find and stuff like this. And it was astronomical. You'd have states with 300, 400,000 missing kids, and you wouldn't even know it.
1.2 million per year.
Right. And it's like, I'm looking at these numbers. I'm like, there is no way this is real. And now we're starting to find out this kind of crap, like with Epstein, and now with Wayfair, and there's others,
Pizzagate.
Well, Pizzagate was people.
No, they're saying this is Pizzagate 2.0.
Right. People think Pizzagate wasn't real, but it is. And then what's his name? I remember, I think it was one of the links that Seth sent me. I think it's in that documentary that keeps getting taken down. The guy from the singer who supposedly killed himself a few years ago.
Now, who do you think?
Linkin Park.
Chris Cornell, but he was helping to bust. He was helping to bust a kid smuggling ring, and he again, when I started looking at the thing about his death, he supposedly hangs himself by over the doorknob.
Yep.
And it's like, you can't do that. It's not possible. You basically pass out and then you're fine. But that's the way that some of these guys, and some of it's CIA and others, but some of these murder, and I'm like, and people complain about the Clintons. I'm like, the Clintons are slime balls. But what about the people who kill to protect them? They're worse.
Well, I don't think Clintons are on top though.
Oh, no, they're not.
This is a pyramid scheme.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you who's close. Bill Gates. Look up at a documentary. He actually gave Epstein, for a long period of time, if you add it up, it's over $1 billion. transferred from Bill Gates' account to Epstein's account.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about that.
Yeah. And it's, I didn't like Microsoft back in the 80s when they were gaining popularity and we just had DOS. Now, some of their tools were nice, the C language compilers and stuff, but man, the more I learned about him, even in the early 90s, I was like, what a slime ball.
Yeah, he builds
didn't
a
even
computer
make anything.
platform. He builds a computer platform or program, and then it gets viruses. So he has to then build patches for it. And he's telling people, oh, I'm going to cure COVID through antiviral and vaccines. My ass.
Yeah.
Well,
Even DOS had viruses.
the documentary I saw, he didn't make the program. He was basically a boss telling people what to do.
Well,
He didn't do none of the coding.
Well, let in case someone listens, he did the coding for the early basic interpreters. He did coding for some of the because for a long time Microsoft just made language compilers and interpreters for other systems. So they did because at the start it was just he and Paul Allen, and they did the stuff for the Altair 8080, and a couple other Altair systems, and they kept the rights so that they could sell the interpreter to other language platforms. And they based a lot of stuff on the 6502 and some of its offshoots. So that's why Commodore bought their BASIC from them for the PET. Apple bought it for AppleSoft BASIC. But by the time you get to DOS, okay, and that was their big win with IBM in 81, Paul Allen buys DOS from the Seattle computer company, what was called Quick and Dirty DOS. They did change it, and that is probably the last time Bill Gates ever coded anything for Microsoft, because it was really just him, Paul Allen. There was a handful of developers, and who was the crazy nutcase? Developers. No, Wozniak was over at Apple. I can see the guy's face, but I can't remember his name. And after that, then he really just became a very ruthless businessman.
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah. But, he ran the company before the guy that is now Steve Ballmer. That's his name. So at that point, once you get past PC DOS 1.0, it's pretty much Bill doesn't really code anymore. Now he recognizes like Microsoft and not Microsoft, but Apple's Macintosh, Lisa, and then the Macintosh is a problem. He basically steals it from them because he convinced Steve Jobs was so full of himself, but he convinces him that they need access to the source code to make Microsoft Word, because Microsoft Word and DOS, you couldn't give it away. It was worse than The Last of Us. WordPerfect for DOS was kicking ass, and you had Lotus 123 for DOS was the spreadsheet.
Ooh,
VisiCalc, they were the killer app on the Apple II platform, and then also in something else that I'm going to forget the name of, but they were slow to uptake into the PC realm. The IBM PC is really what let the spreadsheet work, because it didn't have so many of the problems that the 8-bit machines had, 80 columns and all that other crap. And then, but for Windows, that's when Word on the Mac was good, but that's how they stole Windows, is through the Mac. And that's the thing is, he did all these slimy deals back in the 70s and early 80s when there wasn't any competition. And then he got big enough that he didn't have to worry about, how slimy these deals were. But his mother worked for IBM or somebody. He had connections. There was some other family ties. I mean, the guy's pretty smart too, but yeah. And I even posted one of his TED Talks onto Facebook. People were trying to rip me a new one over some of the things I said about him. Because if you Google the digital tattoo, it'll come up as fake. But I'm like, I watched the damn video where he said it. Okay. I watched the video, and now trying to find it. I mean, Google is scrubbing like you wouldn't believe some of the, things that Bill Gates talked about.
You can't find nothing.
No. And stuff that I actually found on CNN's website a few weeks ago. Someone asked me, because I was going to do a bunch of videos on the COVID stuff, and I was like, I don't care anymore. I am so divested emotionally. I'm more concerned with this. I was tired of seeing it on my Facebook posts, and I posted this past week that said, look, none of this stuff matters. And people were they completely missed the reason for my post. And these articles that I know I had, I can't find anywhere because I didn't save the link. It was like, I'm done. I'm going back. Going back to popcorn videos.
I'm pretty sure they're all on BitChute.
Yeah. But those, the articles about the stuff moving, Fauci moving his stuff through the National Health Institute, something like that, to Wuhan back in 2017, 2018. Obama shutting down his research due to almost getting after the second near breach. He said, "You're done." Those articles
Tommy,
I can't
what
find.
are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I don't want to know what he's doing. But
I know he's had that.
I thought he was making something with balloons.
He's had that camera off for a hot minute.
Yeah. But yeah, all that stuff, and that's CNN.com. I'm like, I can't find it there. And I had read those articles about 3 weeks ago because I remember hearing about it, and I was like, this can't be true. So
You're not crazy.
I did a search, and there it was, and I'm like, it's CNN. Okay, it's not Fox News, it's not RushLimbaugh.com or anything like that. And now you can't find jack.
What about the
Those
governor?
3 links I put out there. Why don't you copy those and take a look at them?
I'm popping them up right now.
Yeah.
Event 201.
That
I have
201
seen
is a
that.
script for what's going on right now.
What about
they
the
pre-planned
general?
this in October.
What, Tommy?
What about the general? The 4-star or 3-star general saying where we go one, we go all?
General Flynn,
Yeah.
Lieutenant
Yeah.
General Flynn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a 3-star.
3-star, yeah. But for him to say that with that much clearance he already has,
Well, you know why
we already knew. We already knew he was involved.
You know why the Judge Emmett Sullivan, even though the DOJ said we have no case, dismiss it, the 3-panel judge of appeals said, 2 of them said, get rid of it. There's no prosecutor. And he continues to say, nope, it's not until I say it's over.
Is this a guy that's appealing that decision?
Yeah, he got another judge that was retired to write a Gleason was the name of the judge, to write a paper to basically contest what was going on, to keep it going, because once the bogus case against General Flynn is dismissed, he can then talk about what occurred because the gag order will be lifted. And that's when he's going to say that Brennan and Obama and that administration were running rebels or whatever. They were building ISIS in that area.
Well,
and they were funneling money.
Yeah. Well, they were
Syria.
running guns. Yeah, they were running guns into Libya, through Libya. That's what got the ambassador killed.
no, it's like the Democratic Party trying to do like a world order where there's only one supreme ruler kind of deal. Are they globalists, basically?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's because that's the sense I'm getting from them.
Yeah. So is George H. Bush even said it. New World Order.
New World Order. Yep. 1,000 points of light.
Your mic's off. Can't hear you.
Like,
There we go.
Yeah, I'm not. I think W wasn't allowed to be in that inner circle. That's why he had to have all those inner circle guys surrounding him in his presidency.
Right.
For whatever reason, they decided to keep him at triple arm's length, but then surround him with, but they did the same thing to Reagan. Reagan was a problem. Reagan was a real, actual American conservative, had been a Democrat, watched the party move away from him. And it basically, by 1980, he was so popular, and Carter had tanked the economy so badly that they couldn't stand in the way of that tidal wave anymore. But he had been trying for at least since the late 60s to get the nomination.
64, I believe he was running, but then they told him, your time will come.
Yeah.
And
But then
it
they
did.
surrounded him. I mean, we got Bush as his running mate, Alexander Haig, and several others.
As of now, I am in control
Right.
of the White House.
when he got shot. Yeah, and so I mean, they thought they had killed him.
And
That was
now new information is saying that HW put the hit out on him.
Yep. Now, did y'all
Oh
see?
yeah.
Did y'all see where it's John F. Kennedy Jr.'s uncle? He was on a live stream, and someone put on the chat, "If he's alive, if JFK Jr.'s alive, touch your nose." He touched his nose and smiled. Have y'all seen that video?
No.
You'll have to look it up. He touches his nose plain as day like that, and then smiles.
Yeah.
Like a weird, like.
That would be
Not like
so
full
cool if it
smile.
would happen, but I mean, even Q has said that he's not, but that, you know, it could be a
Well,
psyop.
they
It could be
say
a psyop.
they say JFK Jr. is not around or not alive.
But the person who changed their name is.
Well, when the senior dies, you become you
The
cease
senior.
to be the junior.
Yeah.
So JFK
correct.
Jr. is no longer around.
Because he's not a junior.
Yeah.
I will say that video that link that Seth sent me, that guy. I mean, it does look like JFK Jr. in Matt, and I mean the resemblance is uncanny between him and his wife.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy that's always at the Trump rallies? They say is Junior.
Well, that's the
maybe.
Fusca. His name is Vincent Fusca.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it looks like kind of, but the nose don't match.
Well, they say he's in makeup, so
Yeah.
or Fusco. I don't
Hey,
know.
if I was that important, if I had that much of a name, I would have a nose job. I would have every bit of plastic surgery I could find.
Well, of course. Remember this.
Would you do
What's going on
plastic
now
surgery
has
or makeup?
been
Plastic surgery.
what's
Well-
going on now has been in the works for 40 years.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'd be doing total
Not
face
an
off.
overnight thing. Yeah, take a face off.
Yeah, I'd be rocking like John Travolta.
Woo! When he starts crying, was it Nicolas Cage when he's in the big prison and he has to
Yeah.
beat up the guy, but it's actually Travolta and he's crying. That was a good flick. I like to be that.
Yeah.
You know, it's over the top and everything, but come on.
Yeah, I love that.
Have you guys ever seen the film Inner Space?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just
Safeway
saw it
clerk?
again. I'm an old cowhen from the Rio Grande. I haven't seen that in 20 years. I saw it the other night. I was like, I love this movie.
I'm pretty sure my parents have it on DVD.
I mean,
Inner
it is-
Space.
yeah, Inner Space. It's like
Hey,
Fantastic
there's my
Voyage.
mom. She's in the chat.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, Junior had enough money to have surgery. Of course, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He would have surgery too because you'd have too many people be able to talk about, hey, that's such and such. You know,
Yeah.
only select people know.
Now, I had a diver buddy of mine who was actually on that job, but
Mom's got it.
the recovery of the aircraft. But, you know, this was 10, 15 years ago. That issue never came up of, hey, did you actually see these people? Was it actually him? You know, you didn't ask that question because there was no way to think about that. You just, okay, he did the recovery and that was it. So I might have to contact him. He ain't going to say anything anyway.
There's too much involved with it because JFK Jr. never flew alone. There was just too many things that happened that never happened.
Right. This was so out of the ordinary. And that was 99 too. That was, I mean, if he would have continued running for New York Senate as he was, who was he running against? Oh, that's right.
Hillary.
That's right. Makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And he would have won. He would have won. So here's the thing. I mean, you know, we all say these, conspiracy things. Why don't we're not stupid. We're not crazy. But why don't we say, yeah, I believe in this stuff? Because what? We're afraid of what other people are going to think?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, screw that.
I mean,
They don't pay my
it's-
bills.
that's what our culture is now. You got to literally be afraid of what you think, or you get canceled. That's
Okay.
the whole thing. That's how you
Canceled.
get people to fall in line. Is say, okay, you're going to be canceled, called racist, bigoted, all of this line, or you get called these names. You get marked.
Yeah. So
But I'm just saying
call
that's
me
the
a
way it is.
racist. Call me a racist. Tommy, call me a racist.
Racist.
No, you have to say it like you're a racist.
You're a racist.
Says the racist.
See, it's
Right?
easier.
Says the white
It-
boy.
No, says the racist. Because if you're going to call me that, you've obviously know what a racist is because you're a racist.
But
I
the
know it's
bad
funny
part
and all that
is,
stuff.
the bad part is, it's easier to call someone racist than for someone to prove they're not racist.
Right, but then you have to backpedal to prove you're not.
Yeah,
Just
and
don't
it's hard.
play the game.
And who doesn't play the game?
Right.
He
And
just
who doesn't
ignores
play? Who doesn't play the game? Tommy Gunn doesn't play the
You
game.
know, I was listening to Nerdrotic. I think it was last week's Friday Night Tights, and he said he's like, the reason why all this is happening is because nobody will say no.
Yep.
Everybody
And if they
bends the
do-
knee.
If they do, they get canceled.
Right, but everybody just bends the knee and just goes with whatever. Oh, new normal, new normal. No, absolutely no. Somebody needs to say no.
So who's going to watch NFL football now?
Well,
Hell
the,
no.
What NFL football?
the CEO of Goya Foods said no today.
Nope.
That's right. That's
Exactly.
I'm buying Goya everything now.
Yep.
Where?
I saw that.
Where's? We don't have a local Goya. Where is it?
Goya is just like it's. You can find it at Kroger. You can find it. It's a brand of food,
Yeah, it's a lot of
Oh.
canned stuff.
and you can get your red beans. You can get your rice. You can get your black bean, whatever you want.
Salsa,
but
everything.
But it's more
Mhm.
tailored towards like Hispanic foods. But it's stuff that we all eat anyway.
Yeah.
Buy that brand instead of Libby's or whatever. I'm voting with my pocketbook.
My thing is,
That's my purse.
Coño.
That's
So-
my purse. I don't know you.
so let me ask you. So you're not allowed to dress up as an Indian. You're not allowed to have dreads if you're white.
You said Indian. That's trigger.
So does that mean do we get to own the ball cap? Is that our thing? Like no one else can wear the ball cap?
Oh, ball
Come on
cap
now,
and
we
beard.
need something. Yeah,
I don't
ball cap
know.
and a
You gotta. Well, I think you can wear it normal, but it may be backwards, but cocked off to the side. That's different.
that's
Yeah,
different.
you can't wear a ball cap with the price tag still sticking
Well,
off
it
of it.
depends. Who was the first one to wear a ball cap? That's what it all comes down to, don't it? Like who was the first one to wear feathers? That was Indians. So it all depends on who.
Well,
wore
it
it
may have
first.
been the ancient Egyptians, as far as we know.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
started everything.
I mean, you might go back to the Stone Age in 10,000 BC, and someone's running around with feathers in their hair.
We can't
Yeah, it
eat
was
French
a- it
fries.
was a,
That's
uh,
French.
It was a hat made of rock.
I don't know if French fries are actually French. That made a rock.
I got my rock hat.
French fries
Like-
actually might be American. I don't know.
If you want to get really political, like really into it, only white people allowed to wear plaid shirts. Like, is that okay?
Well, you got to be a lumberjack, I think, right?
And hence
Yeah.
the hat and the beard.
And I'm okay.
You rock the beard, straight up white guy. That's cool. Do not back up on this.
Now, who made shoes? Who made the first shoes?
Jesus.
The
Jesus.
You had to walk.
no, you're gonna. I mean, that might go way back.
I'm talking like sneakers.
Yeah, well, that's different. I mean, actual like moccasins and stuff. You're talking Stone Age there, probably.
But you see how that's just
It was
ridiculous.
rock shoes.
Oh,
Everything's rock.
yeah. It's all ridiculous, man.
It's only going to work if you decide to play the game.
It's like
Yeah.
dreadlocks go back to, is it ancient Egypt or something? I mean, people think they associate with black people nowadays, but it's all actually older than that.
And you know what's funny? Remember that was a couple weeks ago, all those victimcrats were wearing that kente cloth. It was like that little pattern of some African thing. Guess what? That was the tribe. That's the colors of the tribe who were the slave traders in Africa.
Yeah.
Someone didn't do their homework.
Well, it's West Africa. I forget if it's Ivory Coast or what.
Ghana.
Ghana.
It was Ghana.
Yeah, it was the ruling tribe. Yeah, they were the ones that were going into the bush, capturing other tribes people, and selling them to the white slavers.
Exactly. And that was their, like, there was their flag or colors.
Yep.
And these a-holes are sitting there wearing it going, oh yeah, we definitely love to support our African-American people. Guess what? You're a slave trader.
Yep, they don't get it.
Yep.
Well, I think at that level, it may be, they're hiding history. I think some people are definitely ignorant of the history.
Yeah.
And then that's why
But-
the idea is to replace it. I mean, this is, this whole
This
thing
is
is
what
the Marxist
scares me.
revolution.
If they win with this whole thing they're trying to do, the one that wins the war, not just a metaphorical war, but whoever wins the war writes history. That's how it's always been.
Right. The winner's right here.
Yes. So if they win, our history changes completely. Everything gets flooded.
Yeah, for a
Well-
while until that,
Wow.
until it cycles back, and then historians start looking at old stuff and realize. But some of the stuff we used to believe when I was, in school about the Roman Empire, even we found out wasn't true. So it might take 1,000 years to get some of the record sets straight. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But we've been living under, if you're our age, and younger, we've been living under a liberal history interpretation. Even our textbooks, if you look at textbooks that were in the 1950s, they say vastly different things than we learned. We've been taught in our education system to hate our country, that we're the bad guys. We enslaved people. We did this, we did that. And the kids nowadays, that's all they're learning is to hate their country. Don't play the game.
Do y'all know the Old Spice guy, the big black guy?
Terry Crews.
You know he's going to be canceled from basically commercials and everything now. He cited,
because he was going up against Don Lamond and told him that he
doesn't
he
support
doesn't-
Black Lives Matter.
you're right. Well, he says he didn't want to make it Black Lives Better. He goes, it can't
Yeah.
morph into that.
Oh
He's
no,
Terry
he did a
Crews.
whole
He'll bounce
thing.
back. He'll bounce back.
Yeah,
Are you talking about the Terry Crews thing? That
Terry
he tweeted out?
Crews.
on
Yeah.
CNN.
So, my mom just texted me. Sorry.
Yeah, she was talking about only until Bronny switches back to.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the plaid.
The
Yeah.
lumberjacket.
yeah.
No, so I screenshotted something in there, and one thing that bothers me is that black people can have each other's backs, and I get that. You have your boys' back. Tommy, I would always have your back. Because we're homeboys.
Yeah,
But like there was a gentleman on his, or I don't know if it's a gentleman, you can't make those kind of assumptions anymore. But there was a person on Terry Crews's tweets that was like, they did a petition to get him to not have any more public communication. It's like, so you want somebody quieted because they have a differing opinion? Like,
Yes.
but that's so stupid.
That's
Yes.
the whole point.
Yeah.
These are children we're dealing with.
Yeah. These are the kids who grew up in daycare, and what they know is to scream and shout when you don't get your way. That's what they've been told since they were 2 years old.
Right.
And
And
only get
helicopter parenting when they're on the playground, so they don't fall. You know what I did with my kid? He fell down. He hit the mulch. Get back up. Love you. Get back up. But I see parents 3 feet away from the kid in the little jungle gym thing. So Johnny doesn't fall over. You're going to get a kid, a young adult who thinks everything revolves around them, and you can't tell them no without them throwing a tantrum. These are all tantrums that these little a-holes are throwing. Somebody needs to come up and slap them and say, hey, wake up. Wake up. This is the real world.
That thing is with the whole rioting and everything. They say, well, y'all weren't listening to us. I was like, no, because you haven't provided anything to society. Y'all stay at home. And all you want to do is complain. I was like, if you want change, go run for governor. Go run for something.
Do something.
Right.
Become the change without destroying the city.
If you don't want to have bad police officers, get off your butt, get your boots on, and go out there and be a cop. Oh, you don't want to do that? Then shut up.
Or police your homeboys and say, quit committing crimes, asshole. How about you take some sort of responsibility for your community? Only 6% of certain community are creating 78% of the crimes. And you say, we're going to keep these people in check. Thank you, police. We're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
But the thing that pisses me off,
Kaepernick should have put his money where his mouth is and got out there in the community, opened up a community center and spent some time teaching kids how to do traits and do things outside of selling dope in the streets.
Yeah.
Well, you've had some prominent blacks do that in the past, and they get called all kinds of names. Uncle Tom's, people boycott. They protest the community center. I mean, we had a community organizer president. It's like, what do you organize the community to better themselves? No, to go out there and yell and scream and burn stuff down. That's what and it's like, that's not how you build a community, whether it's physical buildings or whether it's you're making connections with your neighbors through emotional and ties. If you can't first agree to disagree and come and have fruitful conversations, nothing can be done. And that is the whole point of why they shut down people who they don't agree with, and why they won't even tolerate another opinion. Because if you can't agree to disagree and at least be civil for the sake of being civil, you can never ever create a community, and you will always be divided. And that's on purpose.
But have y'all seen that video? It was running around YouTube and stuff. It's a black dad teaching his son, hey, you got to do this or you're going to get shot by the cops and stuff like that. Have y'all seen that video?
Is that the one where like there's a pregnant lady on the subway and he's like, you need to sit down? Or let her sit down? No? Okay.
No.
I remember one about as an anti-drug message, and it's like you can't always be with them, and it shows the dad, and then of course he isn't there, but it's just the stuff that he instilled, and then his friends wanted to smoke pot, and he's like, no thank you.
There was a Gillette commercial where they're teaching his son how to shave, right? And then say if he didn't shave properly, he'd get shot by the cops.
Well, I saw that one. This one says, have you had to teach your kid not to be shot by the cops? And I was like, my only thing about that is I teach my kids to have respect for anyone older than them. If a cop pulls you over, yes, you can be pissed. But I saw a video yesterday of a 10-year-old spitting on cops, calling them every name in the book. They had to put a little spit map on it.
Hey, but have you seen that video where the protester runs up behind the horse and smacks it and horse kicks her right in the face?
Yeah, lives matter. All right, let me throw some info here. You guys have heard of the book that always gets thrown out there, Uncle Tom's Cabin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Author Harriet Beecher Stowe, is that correct? Okay.
I think so.
All right. Now, the black community writ large says if you are helping the white community or you're not being tough enough, they call you what? Uncle Tom, right? Because that's a derogatory term. Let me explain something to you about this book if you haven't read it. Uncle Tom, or Tom the slave, He was the one that was always trying to help his collective of slaves. He was taking the weapons from the master. He was trying to change things. So he was the protagonist, the good guy. The guy who was always selling him out, his name was Sambo. He was going behind Tom's back. He was telling the massa what he was doing, and Tom would get in trouble and take the ass whippings for the rest of the slaves that were on that plantation. So, you know that the blacks are not going to call each other Sambo because that's a white appropriated term. So they've got to switch it to the venerable, honorable Uncle Tom. The truth is, Uncle Tom is the hero in the story. He's not the sellout. So go back and read that, check it out, do research, because we've been lied to.
Yeah. Well,
About who Tom was.
Since we got on the subject about everything going on, does anyone else get mad when they hear white privilege?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Seth,
exist.
you've seen what I do for a living, all right?
Yeah.
Heard the stories and stuff and everything. That it doesn't exist anymore. It may have existed when it was slavery days and stuff like that, but it don't exist now. It's money privilege. That's who's really got the privileges. Is if you came from big money. But even then, I've known some people that they come from wealthy families and their parents still work them like a dog, so they know the value of a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes from parent privilege. What your parents have taught you, how to do stuff, how to go through your life. That's one privilege. It also comes from your willpower. That's a privilege. If you have good willpower, that's a good privilege. Your skin color has nothing to do with privilege anymore. Actually, you can kind of say, I can't go to a black person and they say something hateful to me. I can't say, okay, you're racist. But they can call me racist.
Sure, you can call them racist. Why not?
But the reaction from everybody is not going to be the same.
Why do you care what everyone thinks?
It's not, but you get blacklisted, basically.
Okay, well, then you're not white privileged then if you get blacklisted. So they should welcome you in. Welcome you to the club. You black,
Just vote for Joe Biden so you can be black.
Yeah.
That's right. Angel food cake is white.
They should do a video where someone's in a voting booth and they get their hand close to Biden and their pigments start changing. They go to Trump and it changes back and forth.
Somebody posted on Facebook that Kanye wanted to run because he wanted to make it look like Wakanda, and I was like, oh dang! So on one hand we get Wakanda, but on the other hand I get to be black.
No, Kanye, he's doing this for Trump.
Yeah.
No one don't understand this. He's going to take some of the Democratic votes away from the Democratic Party.
Yeah, he's going to pull the black vote.
I'm going to tell you right now, before he pulls any votes, he's going to red pill the shit out of the black community with some truth. And then at the very end, he's going to go, you know what? I'm going to put my hat in. I'm going to put my hat back on and go for my buddy Trump. So all you guys that have been red pilled, he's saying the same thing.
Yep.
Brilliant.
It seems like a hell of a chess match. Like every step Democrats try to take now, it gets dumped on.
Well, you got POTUS playing 5D chess, and these suckers in the D party are playing checkers with a broken board and missing some pieces.
They're playing Wuhan checkers and they're missing half their marbles.
Wuhan like a mo. They own you. Yes, seems like they're in control and they're making a difference, but people are on their game. Why do you think Fauci and Birx were brought in to brief everyone about all this stuff during the COVID press conferences? Because now, when he starts flip flopping around like a fish, people are going to say, "Wait a minute." You know, if Trump would have said this stuff, they would have been like, "Oh, he's flip flopping, and we don't like him anyway." But wait a minute, Fauci said this, and now he's flip flopping. It's on him.
It's amazing how many people I've seen on Twitter that said, "If only Trump would have followed Fauci's advice." And I'm like, he did, you morons.
That's right. And
he did everything Fauci said to do.
That's right.
It's
on Fauci.
He can't dictate from the federal government what the governor, because some of it he had to leave up to the governors to do.
And did he say that? He goes, once we start opening up the economy, guess what? The governors are going to have control of their state. They're going to be handling, because they're like basically the president of each state, correct? And it's on them to roll out these, rules and regulations. So Trump didn't make it federal; he made it local.
Yeah. Well, and that's the way it's supposed to be. It's the way federal is supposed to work.
Right.
And but he did, get the National Guard involved, and we had all these temporary places put up. And then I see people complain. I think it's at Houston or Austin. I think it's Houston that one of the hospitals is supposedly at 100% in their ICU. And I'm like, yeah, one is. And then someone looked at the numbers, and it's less than 25% of them are actually just COVID. A lot of this stuff is people with heart conditions and strokes and all this other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if that's true, why isn't the mayor asking for the governor to bring in the National Guard to set up the temporary stuff that they did in New York that they had to tear down? That stuff got stored somewhere. And then Austin isn't, I don't know, it's like 100 miles from Houston to Austin, which is on the coast in the Gulf. Ask them to bring that hospital ship to Austin, and at flank speed as fast as they can get there. They're not asking for any of that stuff. And it's like, this is what I've been dealing with some people on Facebook, and it was all accidental because I didn't want to get stuck in the middle of all this morass. So you start asking just the simplest questions. I'm not asking any kind of conspiratorial questions, and people will think, "Oh, you're just doing some conspiracy theory." And I'm like, "No, I'm just asking simple questions. If Houston is so inundated, why aren't they asking for help?"
Yeah. Hey, before everybody leaves, when we go off live, I got to talk to y'all about something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we go off live, or after we go? After we go off live. Okay.
Yeah, no one leave until we go off live.
My mom said they claim white privileges when they drive down the road. The police automatically think they're doing something illegal. White people don't get that treatment. That's crap. I've been pulled over multiple times because I looked over to realize there was a cop sitting over there. He pulled me over, said that the hitch ball on my back bumper covered my license plate, and that if I wasn't using it, I had to take it off.
Yeah.
Flip it downward.
It's the hitch ball, like you can't take it off.
Yeah.
I have my little S10. The ball mounts to the bumper. Because you're not hauling anything with it. I eventually did take it off.
You know what it's like driving while ball.
So I'm saying, it's stupid. Yeah. You don't get special. You don't get special treatment. I got pulled over because they thought I was up to no good because I looked over and realized there was a cop there.
Yeah. It's a reason to pull you over, and it's
white privilege, right?
Yeah. But I know in the 80s, I went when I was in college, there was this black guy. He and I used to talk about this stuff all the time. And he grew up in Alabama. And there were times when he would be driving through some small town, and there'd be some hick cop that would be on his butt, and he'd be right on the speed limit. Okay. And maybe there was some racist asshole cop. Maybe it was because that people that, could have been the vehicle, could have been people that looked like him, had been known to, traffic drugs or whatever. Well, I had a friend of mine who had a Ford. He was a few years older than I am. Well, still is, obviously, but he graduated, got a pretty decent job, and bought a Ford Mustang 5-liter. Well, guess what? When he went through some small hick towns, cops did the exact same thing to him, and he's whiter than I am. So I understand where part of it comes from, because they're going to be profiling, and that's how they prevent crime. And so if you look like some hoodlum, you're going to get harassed. I used to drive an 83 Subaru GL wagon, burgundy color. There is no way in hell to confuse that with an 83 yellow GL wagon. But some a-hole in Blount County, when I lived in Tennessee, held up a Kroger with what he claimed, white guy, with what he claimed was a cup of blood contained with AIDS. So this ought to tell you it was in the mid-90s. Okay. I got pulled over driving into Knox County the next day because I had Blount County plates. I'm a white guy. It was a skinny white guy. I was driving a burgundy 83 GL wagon. Okay. So now granted, and I had a bump on the back where someone had hit it before the owner before I got rear-ended, and he never fixed it. And I never did either. But there was enough of the profile, if you will, to pull me over and see what I was up to. And they ran my license plate, and I wasn't even speeding. You know, I had people who, and you know, it's like, why are they pulling me over? That car would barely run by that time. So speeding was not in the option. It was not an option, but it gets back to the community. If you don't want the cops to be like that by default, then you've got to clean up your community. And it's not up to me to clean up someone else's community. You have to be a part of it. Okay. I've said this before, and I don't know what the exact mixture of my neighborhood is, but it's more black than white. And it's becoming more Hispanic and Asian actually too. And when I don't even have to talk to my black neighbors to ask them about this nonsense. If you haven't listened to if you've listened to some of Chris Rock's stuff, you know what they're saying. Okay.
I love that. He said, who's more racist against
right,
black people?
exactly. And that is,
people.
I'm in a middle-class neighborhood, and that's the exact attitude, the vast majority, especially people around my age and maybe a little bit younger. Now, some of the young hoodlums, and when several years ago, when Barry was president and they were forcing banks to give, you know, so loans, and we started having people move out of the hood. Now, some of them were really trying, and they're actually still here, but the ones that were hoodlums, and all of a sudden I got cops and everything else, you know, people getting shot. Who was the most vocal to get them out of the neighborhood? I can tell you it was no one who looks like me. And then when all that prime loan and all that crap failed again, then those loans were no longer, because it was going through some urban, there's some organization was going through, but basically whatever it was around here, it all failed. Now, granted, I know the prime loan stuff was before Barry, but this was not long after when they were trying, and those houses, they foreclosed and they moved out. And who was breathing the biggest sigh of relief? And some of these people had grown up with that, and they got out by one way or the other, basically hard work, and they didn't want to get sucked back into it. So who's and then Chris Rock's Who's the Most Racist routine. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, go look it up. And he is 100% right. Because those are my neighbors.
I got a great comeback. If someone tells you who you vote for and you say Trump, and they say, oh, you're a racist. They go, well, who you vote for? And they say Joe Biden. Oh, you're a pedophile.
The old girl said that on the
Biden
web.
has said more racist stuff than Trump.
Yes.
And
And
that
they're
was when he was
looking
in the
over
Senate.
that. They're looking over that, act like he didn't mean it that way.
Well,
oh, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. Well,
Look at Byrd, Senator Byrd. I mean, he had been a Grand Kleagle in the Ku Klux Klan, and they gave a pass to that.
Yep.
Oh, that was, the only way to get ahead in West Virginia politics. Then how come no Republicans that come out of West Virginia weren't former members of the Klan?
Oh, yeah.
So
Because the Dems are the Klan.
I know. Now, if you go the other way, like that crazy David Duke, who went the other way. He went from being a Democrat to being a Republican. They kept bringing that up, and it's like, yeah. And did he win an election as a Republican? No.
Well, do you remember when they say the Southern switch because two people that's from the Democratic Party went to Republican, and they were part of the KKK and racial stuff? What they don't realize is the people that were part of the Democratic Party that went there, and they call it the Southern switch, is both of them people became born-again Christians, got baptized and everything, and the very next week went to a Republican Party.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
saw a
very
thing,
next
yeah.
week.
Well, and people will poo-poo PragerU, but I saw that. Granted, this was a black female professor who was talking about this. So, basically, this as the South became less racist and more, I'd say, conservative by the ideals of the Constitution, they started to vote more and more Republican. But the South went for Obama twice, so it's not cut and dry. But yeah, the Dixiecrats exist, but the whole, they'll look at Nixon and his Southern strategy and all that stuff. But you're gonna tell me Nixon was a racist? I mean, LBJ surely as heck was.
Yeah, his famous quote.
Yeah.
If we get
And
this,
people want to deny he said that, and they'll say, "Oh, that's just a Republican lie." And I'm like, go listen to the audio yourself.
that's right.
It's not, somebody making a blog post of what LBJ said back in the mid 60s. I've heard the audio. It's like, and he was from Texas, he was a Texas Democrat. And it's like, maybe he meant it in a nice way, but he sure as heck was 180 degrees from Kennedy.
And
I think
today,
if Kennedy doesn't get assassinated, he and Martin Luther King, if those two men don't get killed, the bridges that they could have mended together with, and especially with Robert kind of running point underneath, keeping the assholes off of them, I think, and eventually they could have even reached out to Malcolm X once he came back from Mecca and realized that there were Muslims of various colors, and he was just as bad as racist as those whites in the South were, and following Elijah Muhammad, that's why he got killed, because he wanted to reach out. He's like, wait a minute, this isn't the right way. And, Walter Williams is another one. He was a Malcolm X apologist, a disciple, and realized, oh my, this is not the way it's going to work. And people will call him all kinds of names too, but he's a former, he even, I watched a thing on him the other day. He even said he was following more Malcolm X than Martin Luther King. He thought, no, the only way we can do is burn it down. He realized, no, that's not right.
well, if you want to listen to a firebrand, listen to Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson. He tells it like it is.
Yeah. Or Officer Tatum.
Yeah, Officer Tatum is the new guy. Yep.
Yeah. He got fired up. Was it yesterday or the day before about those 4 kids killed in Chicago over the weekend?
Yeah, nobody says anything about it.
Oh man, you could tell he had to stop.
Did you see what
times.
CNN said about that? They said, well, Black Lives Matter don't say nothing because all they're about is police brutality. That's all it's about.
They don't care about black on black.
And I was like, okay, last year alone, it was only 9 deaths, black deaths from officers with unarmed.
Yeah.
And most of them was because they was reaching for the gun. Yeah, you're going to have a couple bad apples.
Well, they said 3 of them were shooting or at least gun involved. And then the other 2 were basically like, it shouldn't have happened. But
yeah. But to go look up, this is why they finally canceled Stefan Maliu, whatever his name is, Maliu. Go look and see how many unarmed white kids get shot in a year. It's more. It's multiple. It's almost 4 times as many. And then when you start, looking at it by percentage of how many people get pulled over and the percentage of crime, and it's insanely skewed towards whites getting. And there have been whites in handcuffs face down who've been shot in the back by officers. So yeah, there's and it's in many cases it's the police unions is the problem. And I have a cousin of mine who's a cop, and I have more than once told him, I said, look, and I told him years ago, I forget exactly how I phrased it because this was coming up, years ago. And I was like, look, if you guys can't get rid of, it's like, look, you are under it's a high pressure job. I get it. There's no way I could do it. Because the second time I come out in the same night to a domestic violence call where some asshole's beating the shit out of his wife, that guy's going to be dead in the front yard. That's, I may not even make it through the first call if it's really bad. Okay. So there's no way I could do that job because that's my tolerance level. And he has to put up with all that crap. And I'm like, if you guys cannot get rid of the people who cannot really handle it, and that happens, or on the flip side of that, and I've talked about on this show too, And this, most of these laws, something happens to an officer. I don't care if it's in Podunk, Hick County, out in the middle of nowhere that has 37, residents, and 4 of them are on the police force. Something happens that a police officer gets killed, procedures change everywhere.
Now,
And
the
it's an
funny
escalation.
thing is, the funny thing is who do you think's going to get the police vote this year? Think about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
The wives of policemen, the adult children of policemen. Think about it. You'd be stupid because the Black Lives Matter movement hates cops, but yet they're a Democratic Party.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember too, and this happened with MAD as well, right? The woman her child gets killed by a drunk driver. She starts MAD, I think in the 80s. And I don't know, I wasn't really paying that much attention, and have to really dig to find the stats is exactly how much of fatal accidents were caused by drunk drivers. Okay. Now, the way I heard it, it sounded like it was a zillion of them, but it may not have been many at all. But over time, even that organization when the newer leadership came in, they were more, it's like, if you can't keep moving the goalpost, then you don't have a reason to exist. And so you have Trayvon Martin, the mother of Trayvon Martin starts the Black Lives Matter movement. Now we can argue, I think George Zimmerman was out of line. I will absolutely say that. He was told by dispatch, go, cops are on the way, pull back. And he did not. Okay. So in many ways, he put himself in that situation. But Trayvon was not some 14-year-old innocent kid. He was 18. He was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. And it was in some ways a hoodlum wannabe. Okay. I get it. But she's even said that has moved well past her. It has been infiltrated by Marxists. And if people don't understand that it's a Marxist revolutionary organization now, no matter what the actual meaning of what they're trying to do, that is who they are. And they've even said it. They've said it on their website. The spokespeople have said it, and leaders have said it. Yes, it is a problem when people get killed unarmed. And you have to look at the situations as a whole, and you can't take each one as just some racial component.
Can we start Can we start marching and chanting for the guy that got shot down in South Bronx or the Bronx?
The guy that was walking across the street with his daughter, even on the
6-year-old daughter.
Yeah. Now that video is pretty freaky because he stops before he gets to the curb, and I don't know if I don't know if it's like he recognizes the guy on the bike. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Because he does not get to he stops before he gets across the street, almost like he knows something's up. And I don't know what the whole background of all that is, if he had been in a gang and tried to escape or whatever. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, I don't fully have an answer for, right? I'm not part of that community. I don't know exactly why. And I remember in the 80s, I used to get in arguments about what causes, poverty. And a lot of people have said that poverty causes crime. And it's like, that's not necessarily true, but crime definitely causes poverty.
Well,
but if people believe they have no other recourse, and and basically they're living without hope. They have no hope that they can make at least a little bit of a difference and their kids can build off of that. Then this was true of immigrants who were stuck in New York City and other places in horrible conditions until the government stepped in. We're talking in the 1870s, 1880s. You had horrible sanitation and everything else. But this is in part what started, mob and all that other stuff with the Italian immigrants. But it didn't explode into a large thing until we had prohibition. It was there already, but it got much larger because of prohibition. I have been for years saying, and it was one of these things I heard in the late 80s, arguments for ending the war on drugs. And at first I was like, no, but it didn't take me long to understand the amount of money and everything else. And that's the criminal element. That's what makes it expensive and attractive, is because it's illegal.
Well,
and that's a modern prohibition. And the modern day prohibition is in drugs. Now, I know we've relaxed a little bit on marijuana and some other places, but all these, now granted, around, not just south of where I am, the methamphetamine and all that, a lot of it's, white, poor whites who are doing this stuff. But that's what makes the criminal element a big part of the profitability is it being illegal. And and I don't know, it may be true that the CIA uses it to fund all kinds of operations, because that's one of the things that was going on in Arkansas with the Clintons are in charge. But it's like maybe perhaps there is a lot to that, and it's time to fully end the war on drugs.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I gotta say is about the whole riots and everything. If y'all don't know, my family's mixed. My daughter's mixed. My wife's mixed. I had to tell my daughter that not all. She said, "Why is all black people bad?" Because she watched the news and watched the riots with me. I had to tell her, "No, that's Democrats controlling them. Not all black people are bad." I had to literally explain this to my daughter. This stuff right here is going to cause racism. It's not going to end it. It's going to cause it.
Yeah.
It was going away. They just kicked it back up.
Things like this, things like the whole Black national anthem, that's segregating themselves.
Yeah. Well, they're wanting that. They want Texas. They want Texas to be an all-black state. They've said that.
People from Texas is like,
that's not going to happen.
Did you watch the video?
Yeah.
But remember a couple of years ago, there was a they were calling it safe spaces, but it was one of what was it, Oberlin College? It was being led by some of the faculty members, and they had the minority safe space. But yeah, they basically were for segregation. It's like we ended this a long time ago so that people could choose to mingle. Right? It's different if people choose to, I only want to deal with people that are 6'4" and taller or whatever, what? Okay. But to force a segregation, I'm like, wait a minute, this is the exact opposite of what the civil rights movement was about. Now, if people want to, have some kind of organization where they can come up with whatever requirements for entry they want, but to force it on others, that's the problem. And this was, the government helps fund the schools, but I was like, this is like the next extension of it. And this was, I don't know if you guys listen to the Hodge twins or another, but they were talking about that.
I love them.
Yeah.
And they were, they're talking about, we're bringing back Jim Crow laws and it's black people doing it. And like, and it's, again, I calmly look at the rhetoric and understand, trying to, again, what's the man behind the curtain going on? And it's the destruction. This is what Mao did in China. It's almost textbook, the exact same steps. And so I'm like, you got to look past the noise. If you get caught up in the noise, you'll never see what's going on, and you'll just be a casualty of the wind. And you got to, people I used to work with who were far more conservative than I am used to talk about, how Obama was dumb, right? It's just like the same people, the Democrat friends of mine that said George Bush was dumb. It's like you are getting caught up in the noise and not seeing what's going on. Both sides, right? Because the war on terror was like the first 2 years made sense, and after that, it should have ended.
Yeah, my whole family voted for Obama, besides me. And they said, and then but my brother and all of them, because he was offering free stuff, and I kept telling them, no, he's not offering free stuff. You're gonna pay for it.
Yeah,
it's gonna screw us. Go look. I knew before because I researched Canada's healthcare plan, and they called me racist and everything. It's like, oh, you just don't want him because he's black. I was like, no, look at what he's offering. Look what it does to other countries. Why does everybody come to the U.S. for healthcare?
Yeah. Well, the rich do, right? The people who can afford to. Well, it's like England has two healthcare systems. You have the public healthcare system that, you got to stand in line for 6 months to get a life-saving surgery, or the rich go to private hospitals. And foreigners can go, that have, like Americans who have insurance are in there, can also go to private hospitals. And you can get anything done you need right then.
Right. And in Canada, if you're 65 and you need a major surgery and you don't got money, they'll tell you, well, you lived a good long life.
No, here's an aspirin. Well,
Yeah,
I
here's an
remember hearing it was a radio thing. It was on NPR of all places years ago when I was traveling the car, and it was in this remote village, this small, I shouldn't say remote village. It was a small town that finally got another doctor, and the doctors being inundated with people wanting to get on their new patient list. And there's only so many patients that the government allows them to have. And that thing was filled up in like 3 or 4 days. And then people will say, well, the healthcare system, well, maybe you have to wait a little bit, but anybody can get, because then there's this perception that the poor people can't get healthcare. And it is a vicious cycle. But again, the current system was created by Teddy Kennedy, he's the one that came up with the HMO. And healthcare was never cheap, but it was never as expensive as it is now.
Oh yeah.
And as soon as you get government regulation, it makes it more expensive, and yeah, I think there needs to be some oversight, but then this is why used equipment can't be used in the States. Why, what makes some of the licensing more expensive. Yet our education is some of the best, and people will come from all over the world to go to education in the States. So, but anyway,
I just seen a meme from on Facebook, and it's a picture from Rush Limbaugh. He says it took a worldwide pandemic. It took a 35% plunge in the stock market. It took many small businesses closing. It took canceling practically everything to bring the U.S. economy back to the Obama high mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we're going to need Trump for the next 4 years to get out of this hole that's been done.
If the people who put us in this hole don't dig even deeper.
That's true.
The thing is, if he gets reelected, he cannot pussyfoot around like he's done for the first 4 years.
Well, I mean, what has he got to lose then?
I know, but some of the stuff, some of the indictments and other things that we've been hearing about for 2 years plus, you can't take that long. I don't think he should have waited this long. I think some of these people should have been in jail last year.
I don't know. If you saw Virginia's primaries, you might be turning red. And if a lot of states start turning red, a lot more stuff will get changed.
Well, as long as it's not like red here in Ohio.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, our governors, this is where I'm glad I'm not a Republican anymore and haven't been for over 20 years. It's like, you guys need to clean up your own mess. I didn't vote for him either. We had a libertarian that ran. That's who I voted for previously. A few years ago, we had a conservative, a constitutional party person that ran for governor. I voted for them. It's been a while. So, well, I'm almost out of steam, and I've been talking way too damn long, huh?
But that's just throwing away your vote, though.
No.
Yeah, it really is, though. Nobody cares about Libertarian Party. Nobody cares about third party. Nothing.
If as long as if people don't vote that way, then it will absolutely.
Nobody will vote that way. It doesn't matter.
If they start seeing the numbers go up, people start looking into it.
Yeah.
It won't happen. It'll never happen.
You had. I know. He got elected, but one of the states, Clinton actually came in third with Perot running. So,
what's his name tried to make the Moose Party? Who was it?
That was Theodore Roosevelt.
And then he gets shot and still went and made a speech? Or who was that got shot?
I don't think so.
There was one president that got shot, and he still went and made his speech before he went to the hospital.
Oh, I don't know. I know that was it Van Buren. There was somebody was in a duel, and it was maybe that was Jackson, and he got shot by the guy, but then he stood there and shot the guy back.
Yeah. Did you see Reagan where someone shot and he said, "You missed me"?
I forgot to duck, I think is what he told Nancy.
Yeah.
But that was an assassination attempt. And that was, I think, the last time they got that close. There's been times with Trump that they've tried to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm convinced somewhere along the line they did something that spooked W. Bush too.
Yeah.
That never really made the news. But
Prime, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys talk some. It's almost 2 hours, so we need to get this thing rolled up.
Need to wrap it up.
All right, everybody, stay American.
Stay classy,
Yeah.
America.
So
Don't give in to the fear.
And Prime is probably, well, he and I are old enough to remember when they used to teach that America was a melting pot. We were
That's
strong
right.
because of all the combinations of everything that came here.
We
Not
used to
because of
have those
one thing.
those little cartoons that would say that we're all a melting pot.
Now
Yeah.
we're trying to pull that melting pot, separate it into
Yep.
its components, and that's what real diversity is. Has nothing to do
I
with
want a
skin color.
casserole.
Yeah, where all the ingredients are okay, but together they're much better.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's a Marxist plot. Oh, you think I'm lying?
Oh, when you fall asleep? I've been talking about that already.
It's a Marxist plot.
Yeah, stay on the big picture, and they don't get caught up in the minutia. All right, anybody else want to say anything else, or are we just pretty much done?
Good night,
Come
y'all.
come check us out on the men's room.
Come check us on the
Yes.
men's room. You can find my channel, Channel Dad Brian Lape. Hopefully get some more videos out this past week. I had one go live today.
Keep an eye out also for Red Pill Society 1776.
And keep on.
Is he one of our sponsors?
Yes.
He pop. Yeah, we'll go
Yes.
Tommy Dancer. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, and just laugh at people with masks. They don't know any better. But
Yeah.
have pity on them because they don't know any better. They know not what they do.
They're
When you're out in
oxygen
public, be nice
deprived.
to everybody.
And be
Yes.
excellent to each other. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye.